Alright guys, we have a GE side by side, and as you can see it is frosted over. Now what would cause this is usually a defrost issue, so we're going to dig into it to see exactly what it is. Now on most GEs it's going to be a heater, but not always, so you want to be careful and get all the ice or frost, get all that off. Now do not use anything sharp. Unplug the fridge if you don't have a steamer or maybe a hair dryer, something to melt the ice. And once the ice is melted, you can slowly remove the back panel. You have 4 screws, remove those and pull down slightly. You can remove your light bulbs, you don't have to, but to be on the safe side, go ahead and remove them. Make sure you unplug the fridge. You do not want to work on it as it is open, so safety first, unplug the unit. And also, once you get in the back, you're going to have a lot of ice. The ice that you see on the evaporator cover, that's just a fraction of what is in the back. And that is the reason why your fridge is not cooling. So the freezer is going to be somewhat cold, but the refrigerator section, fresh food, will not be cold. Maybe 45 or even 50, not cold enough. The steamer definitely helps in getting it defrosted. Now as you can see, it is totally frozen. And just to give you an idea, that's the heater, that thing at the bottom. And sometimes if it's so frozen, you'll have to melt. There are 2 screws, 2 Phillips screws, and the heater is held in. And that is what you're going to be testing to see if it's good or bad. Now, that's your evaporator, that thing that is frozen. You do not want to just replace the heater. You do want to defrost all of that ice. Otherwise, your fridge will not cool. It will take a while before the heater will eventually melt the ice. So do the job the right way and get it defrosted properly. Then you can actually install the heater. Now, the heaters on GEs, you're going to have 2 different kinds. You're going to have a 12-inch, which is this one here on this fridge, and a smaller, skinnier one. It's going to be, I think, 9-inch. So check your model number. I will have both of them listed so you can see which one your unit takes. But they're pretty much going to be the same procedure to get it defrost. Everything's going to be the same. Just the heater will be different. And try and use OEM. Aftermarket works okay too. If you can't afford the GE brand, then use OEM. So here's what we're doing here to disconnect the wires. Get a needle nose and a flat blade screwdriver or any kind of tool, and you can pry up against the heater as you pull the wire. Basically, the wire stays in place and you push the heater away from the wire. So a little bit of pressure, and you don't damage any wire, you don't cut your fingers or any damage to the heater itself, even though the heater is bad in this case. So get your meter, multimeter, and put it to continuity. And that's when you touch the leads, you're going to hear it, it's going to make a noise. And you're going to put each of your meter leads in each end of the heater. One there and one there. And if the heater's good, you'll hear a noise. It will beep, or you will see a reading on your meter. If nothing, then the heater is bad. You need to replace it. Now, sometimes if your heater is good and you're still frozen like that, now you may be in a little more complicated scenario. Now, also, if your unit is 9-10 years old and you're having this issue, go ahead and just replace the heater. You already, in there deep enough, so just go ahead and replace the heater. But now we're going to test the board. So if your heater's good, that means that you're frozen, but there's a reason why your fridge is frozen, and we need to get to that. So I'm going to show you how to check the board to verify that your heater is working or is getting power. So your main board sends power to the heater and it turns it on. So what we're doing now, putting our meter leads in each ends of the heater wire. Those wires are actually plugged into your heater, and you're going to put your meter to volts AC. Actually, no. In this case, we're not doing a live. You could, but I'm not going to do that. For safety, we're just going to activate the relay. So put your meter on continuity. Now we're removing the board cover. You'll need a magnet for this test. Now, there are other ways you can do it. I think I have a video on it where it could be a live test where you literally activate the relay and you basically send 120 volts to the heater. You can do that. This is rather a safer way to do it.
DC9.
That one is the compressor. This one is the heater. You put the magnet there. Now the coil is activated.
Not sure. Yeah,
Take
I can
a listen.
gauge the relay from here with power and see if we're getting power.
Turning on the heat, turning on the meter.
Beautiful, look at that. So we're getting continuity now.
We have continuity.
Look at that, listen. I'm so good. So yeah, the board is good.
And that's how you check that. So your board is good. Button that up.
You know, I usually check it with power. But then it's like, well, there's a lot of dust back here that needs to be clean.
Now, you always want to check your condenser coils. That's what's in the back. That's where all the heat from the interior of your refrigerator, it all ends up right there. As you can see, this one is filthy, so that needs to be cleaned. So now we're doing the defrost of the evaporator, and we're doing this because the board is good. The issue with this was just a heater, so now we're going to be doing a defrost. Now take your time while you're doing this defrosting, because it actually takes a while to get all the ice melted. The covers are actually pretty thick, so when you do all that defrosting, when the front is melted, just remember the back might still be pretty thick, and you want to take your time and get it all defrosted properly. Otherwise your fridge will not cool properly. So you want to get behind and underneath. In fact, using the steamer, I think it took 10 minutes or 8 minutes, around that time. So make sure you take your time and do it properly. Now, GE has thermistors inside. I think you have one on the top on the coils, on one of those top coils. It's just a little white sensor. They're called thermistors. And you might actually have one down on the bottom left. Some units do. Sometimes those can go bad. So you want to check the resistance. Make sure they're in reference. And if they're not, you need to change them, because those can actually cause the unit not to go into defrost as well, or the board will not get the correct message and it will not know when to go into defrost. So if you do have a situation where you're frozen and your board is good, and you can check the board with the magnet, that will tell you that you're getting a signal, meaning your board is setting the proper signal. So if your board is setting the proper signal, but you're still icing up and your heater is good, then you want to check your thermistors. And if your thermistors are in range and you're still icing up, then you need to change the board. The board has a few different functions, especially when it comes to the heater. So you have low voltage, which is coil. So you have a coil on the heater. I mean, not on the heater, I'm sorry, on the board. And you have your 120, which is high voltage. So when the coil is activated, low voltage side, it sends a signal to turn on the high voltage side, which sends power to the heater. So if your low voltage side is not working, then your heater is still not going to come on. So you have to replace the board. There are ways to replace or fix, but it's when it comes to the low voltage side, probably a transformer or diodes, it's just replace the board. It's a lot simpler. But this particular repair is dealing with a bad heater. So the wire, the connection that goes into the heater, when you plug your connection in, if you notice it pulls out very easily, get a pliers or a channel lock and squeeze gently on that connection, just to make sure that you get a snug contact once it's in. In fact, there it is. Very important. If not, your heater will not work properly, and you could get wires that overheat and cause issues. So make sure you have a good tight connection. Don't over tighten those. If you're using an impact, just be gentle. In fact, I got a little heavy handed there, but so just be mindful. And guys, while you're defrosting, I should have mentioned, get lots of towels. And if you have some plumber's putty or foam or something, you can actually put something into the hole, and that will stop all the water from dripping, going to the drain pan and on the floor. Get lots of towels to catch the water. So wrapping up here, the two panel tabs up top, just make sure they're slid under. And then of course you have 4 Phillips screws, sorry, 1/4-inch screws for the panel. And you might need a screwdriver just to get that slid under. Be gentle when you're putting those screws in. Light covers, tab, and a Phillips screw up top. Alright guys, cleaning up, getting all the water off the floor, broken glass, all that good stuff. Alright, cleaning up and time to put the shelves back in and get the water off the floor. And we should all be done. Back there was nice and clean. Customer actually cleaned it. And alright, thanks for watching.
Yeah. Yeah, my channel is monetized, so basically, you know, the ads and stuff. Yeah. So yeah, you do. Yeah. Right, your hands are busy.